again. Good to see you, everybody. Doctor Who News Day today. Forget the British budget. Wednesday, the 26th of November, 2025. And it's not another stream pouring over the Disney deal. Everybody's done that. We've done that. But it's looking at the Winter is Coming article that suggests the departure of Disney sets up an exciting BBC blueprint for Doctor Who. Really? I never fathomed that bit. So this is going to be interesting. I won't be on my own. You know the sense sphere likes to make sense, talk sense about some of the nonsense about our show out there. And we also endeavour to offer you a range of show formats, a range of panelists and views on Doctor Who, creative content, a myriad of it, keeping it fresh and up to date for you, passionate, well-informed fans. You deserve it, and Sense for You will never let you down regarding trying to offer you new topics, fresh insight, and fun. God, don't we need fun? So this week, for example, I've talked to Christian, Stefan, done a new solo this week, all new shows, and today we have Michelle, one of my trio of original Sense for You panelists. So it's welcome, Michelle, again.
Hey, welcome back.
Good to see you. I know it seems like a long time ago that
I know.
we were talking about the Disney Factor. This was one of the very first Disney Sense for You shows we did.
Yeah, and that's where I dropped the F-bomb because my internet was acting up.
Yeah, she was on the naughty step for a week or two after that. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how serious we had to take the F-bomb. So, yeah. Anyway, but yes, that was, I think, my second or third show.
That was. Yeah, it was.
So, yes, we've been talking about this before we even saw what a Disney manifestation of Doctor Who looked like. And then we started to get seriously into the speculation front. The fear that Doctor Who fans had that Disney would Americanize Doctor Who and all the rest of it. But as me and Michelle were just saying just before we started, it didn't really happen like that. In fact, you could argue, Michelle,
that may have been the better end. I don't know compared to what we got. Well, the problem is we're even with the BBC or whatever. This current RTD2 doesn't even feel British. So I don't even know about being an American. It doesn't even feel British.
And look, this predates Disney. RTD, our little Welshman, was saying he wants Doctor Who to be like Buffy. He wants Doctor Who to be like Strange New Worlds. I'm sorry, but that's not Disney saying that. As you were saying just before we started the stream, you reckoned Disney wanted a kind of Matt Smith, David Tennant version of Doctor Who.
I think that's and then that's probably also the Doctor Who that the Disney writers and the Disney people involved. I know there's a lot of Disney people who work for Disney who were big fans of Doctor Who, and that was the era of Doctor Who that they loved, was the Tennants and the Matt Smiths and even the Capaldi era of Doctor Who, that sense of wonder and mystery, and even the classic era. So I think that's what they were expecting, not what they got.
And Tomboy Chick puts this, I think, on the nose there. The enemy was within. It wasn't Disney. We had our suspicions, we had our concerns, but it wasn't them. It wasn't them at all. I've not heard anything that says it was them in any shape or form. So thanks for that, Tomboy Chick. Good to see Farsight. Good to see Garbage. Tony Farrell. Farrell, I saw your comment about the Daleks master plan. I'll get round to that. And yeah, so that was that. And of course, of recent note, Disney dumps BBC Doctor Who deal after woke reband falls flat. We all know the news about all this. We'd been talking about it. It hit all the press. Disney ends the Doctor Who deal. Notice it's the way the press are putting it. Disney was the one who ditched BBC. They just really didn't like what they saw.
And that probably has a grain of truth. They were probably horrified with what they've done because they put in a lot. Was it $100 million?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a blank load of change for what they got. And I think they were expecting to bring it back to the glory days of Matt Smith and David Tennant.
I think the mistake Disney made, and clearly they made a mistake, is Disney, like a lot of streamers, Netflix, Amazon, and all of them, they're all in competition, and especially a few years ago, they were all competitively trying to get as much back catalogue and content on their platforms. It was a battle for content. And so Doctor Who was a prime, brand to grab. but they didn't grab the back catalogue. They
Yeah,
didn't have creative control. Um, so basically, they were the cash cow while RTD splundered it. And I have to say, I put in a comment earlier today. You know those people in life, Michelle, who won't put their own money into a project. They won't put
mhm,
their own money where their mouth is. They use other people's money. And
mhm,
you know, independent film companies, independent businesses, starter programs, when you put all your life savings into your idea. Now, so many people
mhm.
go bankrupt, so many people, oh, well, a few others then make it. But to then use taxpayer money, as in the British broadcasting license fee,
And
and
we paid a little bit
Disney,
too.
go on, yeah.
Yeah, hey, we pay a little. Found out under Doge, we're paying a little bit to the BBC too.
It was a part of a charity thing, wasn't it? Because we had discussions about that in Britain, that it was part of some. You know, BBC's so big, it's got a charity program, and it's got this, it's got that. But yeah, why American money was being used is beyond me.
Yeah, I mean, we're still debating over defund PBS or not, and I'm kind of like defund PBS. I mean, they should go out like everybody else and raise revenue through commercials.
Well, it's good to see that Boomer Doug is staying up in Australia. That was RTD's problem. He wanted Doctor Who to be like every other show except Doctor Who. Yes, if you don't believe in the product, it's a bit like a parent saying say they've got 4 kids and they're saying to all the 4 kids, "I want you to be like them. I want you to be like them. I want you to be like cousin whatever." Don't you want to believe in the blooming your own bloody the things you've own
Yeah,
spawned?
and we can make a debate and have an episode. Is RTD really a Doctor Who fan?
Yeah, he's self. It's a bit like the virtue signaling. You know, when people say, "I'm a very kind person. I give a lot of money to charity. I
Mhm.
support this campaign. I support this." Yeah, thank you. You've given us the labels, but show me the money. Show
Yeah,
me your actions. It's too easy to say what you are. I'm an amazing person, apparently. No,
yeah,
it's just easily said. Show me it. Anyway, good. Nice to see everybody. I'm saying this to Graham as well because Graham, personal stuff going on, and I know he misses a lot of our live streams, catches up later, but he's found us, and so hopefully this distracts you, Graham, and good luck, mate, with what's going on. Squinty Mint, this angle feels a bit like a cope to deal with trauma of losing Disney cash. I I have to say, yeah, it I was saying to Michelle about this article, which we'll come to in a minute. I disagree with it intensely. So we'll have a look. And Peter Harrington, my Doctor Who twin, more money from parties means more have their fingers in the pie and probably alerts the original story. Um, Let's have a look. So, yes, loads and loads of stuff to talk about. This was sent to me by my source, who I'm also hoping gets better soon. A lot of people are ill at the moment, but he sent this and he said, in all the hysteria that I've just shown you in the press about Disney's ditches Doctor Who, Disney walks away from Doctor Who, Disney ends its Doctor Who deal. Well, in the actual media press, this is how they actually reported it. And if I actually just get rid of my borders for a second, let's have a look. Disney Plus confirms withdrawal from BBC Doctor Who partnership after 2 seasons. US streaming giant Disney Plus is ending its partnership with UK public broadcaster the BBC on its long running. It's very dry, very factual, but notice it's not dumps, ditches, runs to the. Disney Plus confirms its withdrawal. It just didn't like the taste of what was going on, did it, Michelle?
no, and it will. I mean, it's factual. It ends the partnership. It also means it could have been running screaming as it ended this partnership. But it is factually correct. But they could have
Yeah.
been screaming to all the way to the top of the Matterhorn as they were doing it.
So the tea leaves were there. We had Doctor Who fans in San Diego saying, "Where's the press tours? Where's the post-launch party?
That's
Where's?"
a big thing for San Diego Comic-Con in the United States. That is a huge deal. And BBC and Doctor Who had always been really big at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah. So following the finale, any news after the season 2, season 15 wrapped? Anything? San Diego Comic Con this year, nothing. So you could tell that Disney had cold feet very, very fast.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, I've already reported it and talked about it that Disney, and I watched it again today. Everybody, for all you out there, while you're all listening to the budget in Britain and all the rest of it, I was watching. Hey, here's one for you. Would you rather watch the British budget, or would you rather watch the Church on Ruby Road? Because that's what I was doing. And
Children Ruby Road, because actually I liked that episode and I thought that was going to be a good hallmark besides the singing for a fun era of adventures and everything. And I was so barely disappointed. But the fun part about Parliament is that you guys get to yell at each other. I like that.
yeah, they do. Although I have to say they're not very clever with their arguments anymore. They used to be, but now it's all a bit puerile. It's that bad or low quality when even Disney doesn't want your woke crap. Hello, everybody. Oh well, there you
Yeah.
go.
Oh yeah, yeah. Compared to what they did to Star Wars, the power of many.
Yeah. So yes, but I as I was watching the Church on Ruby Road, which was officially the first Disney Doctor Who episode, I got into the first 20 minutes of just short of an hour, and you had soap opera, Foundling, a strange mock-up interview between Davina McCall and Ruby. You had some silly gremlin hands everywhere. It was very like Gremlins. You had the Christmas Santa falling off a shop. You had the trans singer in a nightclub, and then the mic goes funny. You had the Doctor in a nightclub. I mean, it wasn't Doctor Who. And this is, I think, when Disney went, "What the hell's this? Where's the space stuff? Where's the monsters? You've given us Gremlins with a trans sinner and a hocus pocus where the Doctor goes, she'll say yes, you know, because I know you've
Yeah.
got the ring." And you, oh
And
God,
there was rewrites and re-edits to that episode. Anyways, the Snowman was a later addition to it. After, from what I heard, that they had seen
yeah,
the episode and they needed to have the Doctor and Ruby interacting earlier.
yes.
So they were having concerns even on the first run of that episode.
So Disney, I think, were correct because I have to say, Michelle, the first 20 minutes of the Church on Ruby Road, the Doctor is still hardly in it.
Hmm.
And I would argue he isn't in it because when you see him, he's nightclubbing in a vest, and that's not the
Right. Yeah.
Doctor. Um, and I could just go on. You don't see the Doctor. So, Disney, if they are waiting for Matt Smith or David Tennant to go in, what? What is this? And then you've got Anita Dobson's talking about there's a police box on the pavement. And it's like, what is going on? So, this is how it all started. The cosmic joyride. I never liked that expression, Michelle. That
Yeah.
sounded so
Yeah.
weird to me.
Yeah. I agree. Looking back now, it was like, man, I was excited for this, and it's like, oh, child of summer, oh, child of summer.
So yeah, it's not promising. So we're talking about it in a different way. The stimulus is an article in Winter is coming, so that's where I'm going to go with it. And as I've always said, my go-to argument, Michelle, is why did you have two Rani instead of one? It
And
was
both of
because you
these
had
actors
Disney
were
money.
wasted. Both of these actresses were phenomenal in what they were given, and they were so wasted.
Yeah, but it's a waste of budget. And
This whole set was a waste of budget. I mean, look at the classic era, what they did with bubble wrap. I mean, and you didn't care. You didn't care that you're hearing bubble wrap popping because the story was good. You cared about the characters. You cared about the extras.
so John Serena here. Disney Doctor Who is dead, but the show is on life support and needs to get the next series right, and even a solo season with the BBC budget would do, but need to get the tone of the show right. Well, that's why I'm doing this article now, because they make an argument that this is going to be the great new future for Doctor Who, the halcyon periods, because they've lost Disney. And I'm going, oh ho ho ho, really? I think this is still all to play for. This is a major problem. So here we go then.
I'm a historian. The history of Doctor Who, the BBC has really never known what to do with Doctor Who.
No, and let me remind you what you should be doing with Doctor Who.
Lucky there was no fog. I'd never have found this.
I suppose we are doing the right thing, aren't we?
Oh, that stinks. Julian, stop me Porky. Always a fallout, a fury from the deep.
Where's the Curtis drum twist this time?
Feels familiar.
Very casual, Grandad.
I can't stand this. I'm having a breakdown. This has been one of the worst days of the week. The Sense Sphere. I want it shut down now. I don't like their opinions. They don't realise I'm Russell T. Davis. Russell T. The.
When I say run, run, run!
Where are we?
Keep your eyes peeled. I have a nasty feeling.
It's a bit of tack, Grandad.
It's an antique. You're becoming millionaires. Let's rummage around and let's see what else we can source.
You mean Nick? I'm going to tell Gran.
I'll just say I was looking for the G-spot.
This is a massive warehouse of scrap.
This is what me and your gran used to think was modern.
Look at this. And this. Ooh, it stinks.
Watch what you're throwing.
It's like a repair shop in here.
Your gran has something like this in a drawer. It's got frequencies.
Russell
The Welsh
T.
rimback. He's
The
found
only,
us.
I want
the
my
Alpha,
mum.
the Omega, and everything in between. Honest to God, the Saviour, the Christ of Doctor Who. Without me, there would be no excitement, no wildness, no humour, no
There's your
Do
nightmare.
I want to know why he's holding a cucumber?
No, you probably don't. But he's probably got.
I have a few ideas.
I'm sure our naughty showrunner has ideas. He tends to write them in Creewer's folk, doesn't he? So yes, let's not go there. It's early in the day. So as this article said, so I'll set it out. I'll just make it bigger so we can see. Okay, everybody. So Doctor Who's Disney deal ending sets up the return of an exciting BBC blueprint next season. The long-running British sci-fi show is back in the sole hands of the BBC, meaning the next run of episodes could easily return to a more familiar format. Oh, well, whoopee-doo. There's me arguing that we need cliffhangers. There's me arguing that we want a more episodic, serialised approach. That's not what has been the DNA of New Who. So which era are they talking about here? I think this Daniel Bibby gets a bit excited. And anyway, what are your first thoughts on that, guys, before we hit the detail?
I agree with you. Which era are we talking about? And I kind of agree. Years ago, Gary from Neurotic actually said Doctor Who should go back to a half-hour serial. And at first I thought, now I'm actually kind of leaning onto that. We need to have the cliffhanger, because the cliffhanger is the heart of Doctor Who, because it brings excitement.
Yeah. So Garbage, who did that AI, I will mention many times.
Naughty boy. Naughty boy.
I think the next Christmas special won't take place. Oh, controversial. Or RTD won't be involved. Well, it says he will be. Things will change, I'm sure.
How much?
Yeah. They've got to bail out this Billy Piper nonsense. Farsight, if one of RTD's chosen successors gets their hands on the show, there won't be any golden age. That's the problem, Farsight. I mean, you know for a fact, it's like, it's Buggin's turn, isn't it? We had Stephen Moffat was the choice of RTD, then Stephen Moffat and Chris... it's just, come on. And Pete McTague, stop mentioning his name. No. Just because he's done this, that, and the other. No. Were they the best episodes in history? No. Edward Bracken.
He's done good. He's done good ads for the box sets.
That's what I mean. That's the level of it.
But don't forget the Sea Devils one where we had to have the identity politics of the two gals on a date.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
So is Nissa and Tegan.
Don't even go there, because we saw the bedroom scenes. I don't want them revised. Edward Bracken. They need to just make Doctor Who, or just forget the whole thing and make something else that nobody wants to watch, right? Oh, there's so much cynicism now, me included. XD, they were trying to legitimise bi-generation. That's why two Ranis were present. One Rani felt like Jodie's cardboard companions at the end, though. Yeah, and I felt so sorry for Anita Dobson being given the subservient role when she'd been waiting for 2 seasons for the big denouement of her character. What an absolute balls up that was. Dalek Lives Matters. English Gothic horror is a world-renowned and world-friendly, but Bad Wolf went full low IQ. It went babyish, and we have argued that.
We need Gothic horror. Gothic horror is hot right now, guys. Frankenstein, Nosferatu. There's all these. The Gothic is coming back now. We need these crumbling English manor houses.
Now, Tim Beck's here. Good to see you, Tim Becks, and thank you for being so generous. Before I get the answer off Michelle, I'll obviously thank you in the way that Sensory always does, which is a mini video thank you. Would the Duffer Brothers take on Doctor Who? Could it work? He asks. And obviously, I say thank you. So here we go. Ah, our pond's flooded at the moment. So, what do you think, Michelle?
Okay, I'm a little out behind. Who are the Duffer Brothers?
Well, that's a good question. Who are the Duffer Brothers, Tim Bex? Who are the Duffer Brothers? I could type it in, but if you have a capability, type it in. The Duffer Brothers take on Doctor Who. Could it work? Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'd have to know who or what they are. I'll stick with it for now. Somebody's going to tell us while we're just holding on that. Tony Fowler, the classic show was made on what the BBC regarded as a standard drama budget. The only difference between Doctor and the big IT shows of the time was the use of 35mm. And he continues, film makes an even modest budget look so much better. Yes, it does. John Sweeney, they should have had it on later time slots so you can have more adult scary scenes. What, you don't think there were some adult scary content in some of the dialogue? So the Duffer Brothers. Who are the Duffer Brothers is my big question. Do you know, Michelle, now?
No, I don't.
They're two writers who wrote Stranger Things.
Oh, no. Also, Stranger Things, Netflix has a problem with they'll get a one-hit wonder, and then the other next seasons will kind of not do as well. So Netflix has a second season issue, and I don't watch Stranger Things, but I know it's been hit or miss on the seasons. And one thing is, it's taken forever. And now the kid actors are now having children of their own, and so trying to convince themselves that they're still teenagers. So yeah, no, and I'm against Americans coming in at this point. It's got to stay British. It's a British institution. It's a British show.
There is a small component of people who are starting to whisper this a bit louder, and I'm actually starting to kind of turn my head to it as well, which is we have the League of Gentlemen Writers who now write a very dark comedy series called Inside Number 9. They're cleverly done. It's so dark. Now, the comedy thing I don't want, but that's their own product. But Steve Pemberton, he was in the Silence of the library one, that one. He was in that one. I've forgotten the other character's name, Reece Shearsmith. He played Patrick Troughton in the Mark Gatiss moment. Those two could be a possibility. I know Farsight says, I'd rather have JMS as a producer. The thing is, Farsight, and I've said this before, I'm not poo-pooing that, but is he of his time? I want somebody with the energy and the freshness of Philip Hinchcliffe, aged 29. Somebody who's willing to take a risk with their career, as Philip Hinchcliffe did, and ultimately paid the price, rather than somebody who has been there and done it. We've been arguing that Russell T Davies was sharper and better in an earlier era, and it's a shame when you hang around too long like a bad smell. So I'm just wondering, Farsight, whether JMS would fall into that category.
And we need somebody who loves the show like a John Nathan Turner in the early years of his run. Somebody who loves the show. Because and even as JNT got more tired as the 80s went on, you never doubted that he still loved the show. So
to answer the question earlier, we don't think the Duffer Brothers for Doctor Who.
No.
We think there should still be enough British quality writers out there. Not that we're kind of being national about it. Tom by Chick says Reece Shearsmith was also in Sleep No More. Of course, you reminded me of stuff I don't watch anymore. I'll have to watch that again. So this is how it started, the argument. So I'll move us in now, and here we go. So the current status of Doctor Who is far more promising. Yes, I will say that one more time for those of you who are kind of going, what? Current status of Doctor Who is far more promising than it recently seemed. Oh, do tell. With there now being confirmation that the death of the BBC's deal with Disney won't mean the show will go on hiatus, as was originally rumoured. Now, you see, Michelle, I don't think that means it's a good thing. Why is there an obsession in some Doctor Who fandom that you just need to keep it on the bloody screen instead of having a few years of reflection and a change of style. And that takes time. Instead, keep it going, keep it going. Just do another special, do another non-special, do a Christmas special. No, take it off the air, let it freshen up.
Well, it's like something that I'm going into my own personal life. I think sometimes we get stuck in a rut and we're afraid of change, and we're afraid of what it would be like not having a job or not having it on the air. And sometimes that is actually a good thing. Having a time where you can reflect on yourself or reflect on a situation and say, it hasn't been good for a long time. A rest is a good thing.
Yeah.
And ever it means Doctor Who doesn't come back in our lifetimes, we still have plenty of good Doctor Who to talk about. And it's okay. And we need to be acceptance that sometimes this is a 62-year-old franchise. There are very few shows in the world, except for like I Love Lucy, that we're still talking 62 plus years later.
And I have to say, my argument has gone stronger on a hard reboot, which is I don't know how far this show can survive on its own continuity. It's starting to look
it's 62 years of continuity. You start forgetting continuity after a while. You take continuity, throw it out the window. You can't keep 62 years of continuity, and we need to come back and start with a brand new first Doctor.
Yeah. So I've got here from Boomer Doug, and I'm sorry, I normally have a block behind it, but it's not giving me that option. So at the moment, I'm running blind. I can't see Doctor Who capturing the general public's imagination. Maybe, just maybe, it can return in a smaller capacity and rebuild. That's what you do. Go back to the grassroots. Go back to being... I think sometimes, and sci-fi does this better than almost any other format, Michelle, which is you go a bit niche. You almost deliberately go niche. You get people talking about it. It becomes this little trendy thing. Then everybody else, the mainstream, wants to a little look at it, and then it grows. But if you want it to be a global brand, all you're saying is it's going to be very, very vacuous. It's going to be very generic, formulaic, and boring.
And don't forget, for most of its history, Star Trek was niche, Star Wars was niche. And then when we tried to become bigger is when it started losing its power. I mean, the Next Generation, Star Trek: The Next Generation was a syndicated show, which meant it didn't have a network. It was bought out by other smaller independent networks who paid to run it on their. It didn't have a Fox. It didn't have a CBS or ABC for its run, and yet it's a classic to this day.
So here we go. You can see I can sometimes show my thread now. So Michelle can bring stuff in. I'm going to just get a few kind of in here. I can see Farsight as well. So Squinty Mint, the problem with taking it off the air is the industry changes that are taking place. I don't think it can survive a prolonged gap now. Squinty Mint, I know exactly what you mean. If it's not on telly, it starts to be forgotten very fast as well. My source has given me a kind of counterpoint to that. And he said, remember, he's in the media industry too, so for what it's worth. And he has said, it's gone out of my head. Senior citizen moment. Oh my God, right, that's it. I'm off to the care home now. So, Michelle, where do you stand on the argument that it needs to be on the telly, otherwise people forget about it? While I try and recall my one brain cell.
We have it on streaming now. I don't think it has to be on the telly. I think we have streaming. More people are watching their TV now on this thing called YouTube that we're on right now. And we have the classics shows being put on YouTube on classic Doctor Who. So I understand the old feeling that it had to be on the telly, on the TV, to be seen. I think there's so many other ways of us getting our entertainment now that it doesn't have to be necessarily on the TV. It could be on other forms of media.
I've remembered. The argument, God, thank God I'm not in the classroom. The argument about it, always being on TV, so therefore everybody's aware of it. That is one argument. My source
Were they really aware of it were they really aware of it when it was on TV this year, though?
Well, I know it became niche in itself, and that's one of the arguments Disney had. But as my source was saying, and he said about LA, he said about the fires in Hollywood that have decimated things, and he talked about the industry struggling, and he said, Brendan, on top of all that, people are leaving the industry because
Mhm.
they do have ideas for new shows. He said, but they don't want it to go through this horrible mincing machine of the pitch and DEI, and it has to be inclusive, and it has to be this, and it has to be that. And nobody wants to risk their precious idea being absolutely wrecked
Exactly.
by
Yeah.
this TV by committee.
And
And
also,
so,
we're sorry. I'm so
so
sorry. But you go ahead. It's your
all
show.
right. Yeah, because Senior Citizen, before I forget it. Yeah, so there's your argument, Squinty Mint. Yes, I understand. If it's not on telly, people think it doesn't exist, and will it work with today's market? You hear that one very quickly. I get that. But then the other version is, if Doctor Who will be, TV by committee, and therefore we're going to get more of the same. Go on, Michelle.
Also, Hollywood is changing. Celebrity is changing. The movie industry in the United States has had the worst year ever. And there's another thing is, so yeah, people are leaving. I know people in the industry who are leaving, who are not even on camera facing. They did behind work and costumes, and they're leaving the industry. And then here's the other thing that I just thought of is where there's a little movie called K-pop Demon Hunters that was released only on Netflix because Sony did not think it would do well, and has become the #1 movie in the world right now. So here is something that was done by nobodies who took a chance on actually a well executed story, phenomenal music, and has taken the hearts of young and old to this little movie about girls in Korea who are singers who are fighting
Mhm.
demons. And so again, it shows that you don't necessarily need to go through the studio through television or through movie theaters to get your movies out there.
Yeah, but this is the yeah. Thank you, Farsight. Ben Aronovich involved in some capacity, maybe. He's a best-selling author now, and he's part of the Andrew Cartmel era where they wanted to take it darker and more mysterious. So I could buy into that as a prospect. He knows his Doctor Who, and obviously, if I just said, for example, Remembrance of the Daleks, we all think, "Oh, that a bit more of that would be nice." It
I'm
had its
surprised. I'm sorry, I'm surprised Rivers of London haven't gotten his own TV series yet.
Yeah, I know. So, thank you very much for that, and of course, the thank you continues. Here we go. Hello. Oops, I was the one who killed the face of Bo, sorry. So there we go. Instead, the BBC has announced its plan to continue making Doctor Who alone, just as it did before. Yeah, as it always bloody well did. Right, so far I'm not seeing the argument for hallelujah, we've got rid of Disney, the future's good. Again, the Goblin King, was that Disney? No, that was RTD thinking I've got loads of money and I'm going to splunder it on a very cheap version of Jabba the Hutt.
No, I got nothing on that one.
No. It's just a shame. I mean, that they made this and everything, but it where was the payoff?
They spent the money on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
They spent the money on these amazing sets. Because even my dad, he was not a Doctor Who fan, but he's starting to find some charm in the old rickety sets of the old Doctor Who. There he said, "Oh well, it looks nice," and then it's like, well, yeah, it does look nice. And then even sometimes I was bought into like, oh look, it's flashy. But then when you start polishing that turd, you realize it's still a turd.
Yeah, with a smell. Although only the 2026 Christmas special has been announced in any detail, because it's all getting organised on the back of a fag packet. They announced that to shut us up, it's all been done backside first. Remember the rewritten reality war? Come on, this was not part of the plan. Doctor Who will go on to make another run of episodes shortly after. Well, that's what they hint at. By the time next season airs, it's possible that around 2 years will have passed since Gatwa's unexpected exit. Unexpected. So, Whovians will be especially anxious for more regular adventures. Yeah, whatever. Blather. Regardless, it's It's at least comforting to know that Doctor Who will continue without the need for an overly lengthy production delay. Listen, Michelle, my argument is this. Do you know who's making the production delay? The BBC.
RTD? Or
The
BBC?
BBC.
Okay.
I did my solo show yesterday, and my argument, because I was quoting the source a lot, and he said, Brendan, it's dead easy. If they want to announce season 3, they could do it now. They don't have to say they're making it now. They just have to say that's our intention. White Lotus, they keep announcing a new series when you've not even seen the first episode of each. You know, we know how the media works. When they know they've got a success, they announce the next series because they want to keep it. They want to keep it rolling. They want to keep the actors.
HBO has renewed series based on one good pilot episode airing. I mean, there's a show in the United States that I enjoy called The Gilded Age, about the Gilded Age in New York. And they've announced this last season, season 3 was supposed to be the last season, but the ratings went up and doubled, and so have near the end of the finale, they came out and said, guess what, guys, season 4. And so they actually had to refilm the ending of the episode to make a cliffhanger, because they expected that to be the last episode. So they went back real quick and filmed in like a 2-second, 5-second scene, 5-minute scene, that made it into a cliffhanger. So they're known for renewing shows in the middle of a run. And
is Peter Harrington onto something now, though? Because Disney has changed as a brand, the BBC has changed, and so as he says, the BBC have to farm out everything. It was in-house for most of its life, for the classic era. Basically, the BBC are just middlemen now, and poor quality programs are made. Everything's done by little independent companies. Everything is basically commissioned out. In other words, you do wonder why we have all these middle managers and top TV executives. It's the same with a lot of things in Britain and no doubt America, where you go, do you know what? All we've had is inflation of people's wage packets at the top, but what do they actually do? And the people who are still making these little shows everywhere, they don't get much extra. And so I see what you mean, Peter Harrington, that basically, you know, if winter is coming, is excited that, you know, the BBC can do this. The BBC haven't really been doing this for quite a while. And if it's just money men and people who bean counters and people who just administrate and just have committee meetings all the time about policies, they haven't got a clue about how to make Doctor Who good. And as my source keeps on saying, they never understood Doctor Who. So don't ask them to be relied on.
No, and correct me if I'm wrong, the BBC no longer has like the TV studio where they would film everything, correct?
No.
And the same things in the United States, where they don't have it's all filmed like, you know, one of the channels is owned by Warner Brothers, so the Warner Brothers lot, and so that's what I thought, because it used to be in-house. It was filmed at one of the TV centers.
It's almost madness, isn't it? You have something paid for by the British taxpayer, this amazing television centre. Everything centralized. You then sell it. Yeah, you then sell it, and then years later you commission Bad Wolf, who have big studios, but they're a private company. Right. So excuse me, the British taxpayer paid for that building, paid for it all there. We own it. You sell it. Where did the money go? I'd like to see the money trail. Yeah. Where's the money trail? And you now don't have the studio capacity, but Bad Wolf do. So when we talk about who can make future Doctor Who, and Bad Wolf are part of the problem, you go, well, Bad Wolf have big studios. That's not the point. It's whether can they make decent Doctor Who.
Well, and TV in general, I just yesterday in the United States, we have on PBS, which they air Masterpiece Theater, and so they had which is all the British TV shows, the dramas, or some of the period pieces, and they ran the trailer, and I'm like, it was like All Creatures Great and Small, which is a remake, Foresight Chronicles, which is a remake, The Count of Monte Cristo, which is a remake, and then they had Miss Scarlet. There used to be Miss Scarlet and the Duke. So out of all those 4, one is an original show, and the 3 are all remakes.
Yeah. Now
they
Raymond
were supposed
Williams
to be excited, and then PBS is always begging us for money. Like, you expect me to be excited about this?
Yeah, Raymond Williams. RTD wasted Disney's money. That's exactly where I stand on it. Although I still don't think I saw the money on screen. Does any RTD2 episode have better production values than Money on the Orient Express, as an example? There are some Chris Chibnall episodes and some Stephen Moffat episodes. I saw Nightmare in Silver, and you think, whoa. I have to say, the production values have been good for quite a while in New Who, to be honest. And that's not with the Disney money. So Raymond Williams, quite right. Where's the evidence of it? I think the danger is you've got somebody in RTD who is not a classic producer. John Nathan Turner, he was a money man, wasn't he? He did all the production costs. That's where he came from, All Creatures Great and Small. That's how he basically started after that in the production side. So he actually did know how to cost a series out. RTD less so. And RTD, I think, as soon as you show him some money, he thinks, I'll splunder it on that, that, and that. And that's the problem. Narratively, is it important? Will it have a payoff? Probably not. Like I said, Omega, Sutek, all these special effects. For what? Everybody laughed at it. Everybody scoffed at it. Everybody got, why? It didn't have that kind of chill when you saw a brilliant mask of Davros in Genesis of the Daleks Part 1.
Exactly, and that the one bone set looks so plastic.
But why did we need those bone creatures going all over London? It had no reason.
Or the Time Hotel. I mean, that was a fantastic concept, and they just blew it. I mean, that was a fantastic storyline. Why did we need the dragon and not the dragon, but the
dinosaur,
T-Rex and the dinosaur and the Star of David and Bethlehem and all that?
Well, you see, the dinosaur bit was really because we know how RTD works. We saw it in his first era. He thinks, like in the very first era, he said he planned for Big Ben to be hit by a UFO because he could see that being good in the trailer. So basically, I think he writes his script sometimes to go, that'll be good in the trailer. So a dinosaur and the doctor's about to fall into its mouth. Brilliant trailer. Yeah, but does it fit into the bloody story? Anyway.
Well, they could have done something about ancient aliens. Ancient aliens is a big thing. UFOs are a big thing in the United States and in Canada. I'm sorry, in the United States, in the United States, whatever country you're in. I'm having a senior moment just being around you. And so, we could have had so much stuff that resonates. Disclosure, are aliens real? What's the doctor? Is the doctor a UFO? And let's go back and why is for Doctor Who Day, why is the TARDIS outside of Stonehenge? Can somebody explain that to me?
Yeah, somebody will have dropped it there. I think it's been mislaid. I don't know. I mean, it's on the way from Wales. Maybe it's migrating back to London slowly.
Did you have time change? Do you need to have the reset the stones for time?
Stones of blood. I want the augury. We want Doctor Who like this, surely.
I am Zephon. The master of the fifth galaxy has...
You seem lost, Representative Zephon. Here's your place next to me.
The seventh meeting of in sessions. I have important news.
What's Hazel Lady?
Yeah, that's naughty, isn't it? But anyway.
It's really bad to be a Dalek operator having gas. Let's just think about that for a moment.
Yeah, stuck in there, wheeling around.
Bad day for Taco Tuesday on the set, and then afterwards,
So here we go. Winter is coming. The article continues. While there were several notable differences during Doctor Who's Disney era when compared with the seasons that preceded it, there was one big change that many viewers were disappointed by. It wasn't a complaint about the scripts or the what? Because there were plenty of those. Instead, one of the biggest concerns was related to a frustrating production decision that the BBC could soon rectify. Oh, pray tell more. Was it that? was it the spin-off nonsense? Was it kind of that stupid unit set? I don't know. Right. Here we go. Doctor Who's let's have a look. Press the right button. Doctor Who's return to complete BBC control opens the door for longer seasons again. During Doctor Who's classic era, the length of seasons wasn't quite as regulated as they've generally been since the reboot. Well, a lot of seasons were 28 episodes, and
Yeah. They only got shorter near the end when the BBC was unsure if they wanted to keep the show anymore. But before that, it was like 28 to 21 episodes, which is a typical season.
Yeah. However, since RTD brought the show back in 2005, let's just remind ourselves, this is 20 years of Doctor Who, a third of Doctor Who. Doctor Who seasons have generally been between 10 and 14 episodes long. Before the Disney era, the only exception was Jodie Whittaker's Flux, but we know that's because of the COVID thing. They had the same budget, but just 6 episodes, so you could do it in a different way. So what the big argument is, we've lost Disney, which, may I say, Michelle, you've publicly lost a major global streamer through what? Sloppiness, through failure to listen to them, through, I mean, all the other streamers will be going, right, well, it needs to be done differently. This is not a good advert for the BBC or Doctor Who. They're not good co-partners at all. Or that RTD is not a good co-partner at all to work with.
Well, they need a showrunner that will deliver what is promised on the back of the tin.
Yeah. And discussion. They have so many blooming committees. They have so many meetings. They have Zoom calls. They fly to Hollywood. Julie Gardner was in LA, and yet they still couldn't join the dots and agree on what
They could do it by Zoom. I mean, we're talking, and we don't need to fly across the world paying taxpayer money for that trip, by the way.
Peter Harrington loved the soundscape in the Daleks master plan. Oh, it is a lovely soundscape. I've just enhanced it with the 4K quality, and you can't hear it from the old 1960s footage. But actually, one of those actors, a bit like Michelle was saying, he'd been in that costume a bit too long, So I've just enhanced it, Peter. Sorry, the Who directors noticed that. They're very good. You get all the investments with us. So yes, you look at this. Now, we all have our opinions. There's no surprise here. But the argument about, before we go into all the season lengths and all the rest of it, the argument is that Disney changed Doctor Who when actually we think RTD changed Doctor Who. I mean, I'm going to show you a couple of case studies and go, what I'm about to show you, and yes, it's a trigger alert, everybody. What I'm about to show you, is it Disney's influence or is it RTD's influence? Okay, here we go.
She's gonna say yes. Who is your girlfriend when you ask her to marry you on Christmas Day?
How do you know?
My son, a screwdriver just went ping in her pocket, which says engagement ring, and I'm guessing that she's a she, because 91% of men wouldn't choose a diamond. Plus Christmas Day couldn't wait, and that is why she loves you.
And you thought, yeah, I'll give that a go, babe. They've got you! Nothing hurts. Ta-da! Yo, the mass and density and gravity exists in the glove.
Right. What's your answer then? You've seen 3 examples then of the new era. Whose fault was that?
RTD, and I've said the closest to Doctor Who behavior kind of was the scene where he's running across the chimney, running across the roof. That was the most doctorish. And not even fully doctorish of those, but that's clearly RTD writing in some other kind of drama or other kind of show that he is good at. I mean, he has a niche for some of these dramas, and that's kind of what he should have been writing instead of coming back to Doctor Who.
John Yulden here. He has his Sci-Fi Chronicles 79. He's obviously on his lunch hour, and I'm amazed he's come to join us because he's so excited about the new Stargate series that he's writing loads of shows and little contributions. And you'll have to keep an eye on Sci-Fi Chronicles 79 because he's going to go mega. I'm going to be in his wake as he takes on Stargate mega stardom. So good to see you, John. While you're mixing with the little ones. So
don't forget us on the way up.
Yeah, because we all know the answer to that question. As much as I hate Disney, it's all RTD. And I've just been looking at the thread as you've been talking. RTD says Farsight. RTD says Peter Harrington. Garbage. I've just ruined his eyes. I'll keep things moving. But yes, so the arguments about, Disney, RTD, and all the rest of it. And I think Winter is Coming has got a bit distracted with, does that mean we can go back to seasons of 20 episodes or something? It's like, did you see the series Winter is Coming? Anyway, the 60th anniversary brought back David Tennant as the 14th Doctor for 3 episodes, making the start of the collaborator. Unfortunately, the 2 seasons that saw the 2 studios team up continue didn't receive the same treatment. Rather than being longer than most BBC seasons of Doctor Who, Ncuti Gatwa led just 2 8-episode runs, blah, 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 and 2 Christmas specials. Right, so that's just telling us the bleeding obvious, and there's the bleeding obvious as well. She was a top unit agent for Catford shoplifting. But we don't put anyone in prison now. We've got some new laws coming through in England.
Also, some US states too. Shoplifting wouldn't be a crime either.
Well, we're getting rid of juries as well, so it's like, all right. So let's continue with this strange argument. While Doctor Who looked aesthetically superior, again, we said the Chibnall era and the Moffat era had some amazingly good high production values. They maybe knew how to spend the money. The increased budget was probably to blame for the reduced episode count as well. What? Instead of around 13 episodes with modest budgets, the seasons were 8 episodes that had much higher budgets. Right, before we get into this budget talk from this Winter is Coming, do you know what, Michelle? I blame this. This is my main accusation against RTD. He refused to make it serialized. And so just like you could have Nerva Beacon, the set, used a few times, he kept forcing set designers and everybody to come up with a brand new expensive 4K looking world every week. He splundered the budget. We had Robot Revolution for one 45-minute episode. All that world, that amazing technology, that head and everything, just for some stupid story about toxic masculinity. Then the second episode was Lux, where you're in 1950s Miami, America. All that expense, the money spent on set design and costumes, when actually both stories amounted to nothing.
Right, or that TARDIS set. What was the purpose of that big, huge TARDIS set? I mean, the old classic era, the TARDIS set was about the postage stamp, but they did so much more better use of the actual TARDIS. There were some episodes where you didn't even see the interior of the TARDIS.
Yeah, so I think they're missing the argument here a bit. It is about budget. But it's not about how many episodes. It's about what you put into the episode. Yeah. RTD has this really, I don't know, I think it's a very 1980s sensibility about what a climax to a series looks like. He has this kind of, everything has to go mega. No, the climax to a series, if you look at the definition, should be just the dots are joined, and you might have cleverly concocted a shock for the audience. That can be done with a bit of dialogue, a character switch, a reveal. It does not have to mean bone monsters, Omega on some sort of diet drive, 2 Ranis. It doesn't.
He's on Ozempic. He took way too much Ozempic. He went on the Wicked. Omega spent way too much time on the Wicked set, and he's got onto his own Ozempic. He needs an intervention.
Now, we are the Senssphere. We like different opinions. If I see them, I get them up straight away. So Cool and Dry, good to see you. I think others had influence beyond RTD and Disney. From a technical standpoint, not the stories. The scripts were not RTD level. They had hallmarks of dun dun dun, something else. Now, some people have argued, Cool and Dry and Michelle, and I put this to my source, that some people have said, you could say it's cynical, you could say it's critical, that RTD was using ChatGDP, an expensive version of it, an expensive version of AI to write some of these scripts. And my source said, no, you can't throw that.
No, that's actually an insult to AI, because I think AI probably will come out with better drivel.
I think everybody knows if you all went on Grok now and asked it to do a classic Doctor Who storyline, it makes it darker. It has monsters. We've all done it. The AI actually does know what Doctor Who is. It's just our super fan doesn't. But I'm not gonna. I don't actually mean that. He does know what Doctor Who is. But my argument is he is bored with it. And he wants to put his own ego influence onto it. He has to change it.
Well, it's the ego with everything that we can write something better than the classics. We know better. We're superior to them. Look at Wicked. Oh, Elfring Baum, he didn't know what he was writing about. We need to have a reason for why the Wicked Witch went evil, and so they come up with this slop.
Yeah. Now, Raymond Williams, it's interesting that Rachel Talalay, who, as you know, is one of our new Who directors, she's made the argument that the TARDIS interior wasn't that impractical in a way. She said that basically it was just underutilized. It just wasn't written right. And so basically, I think ultimately we've had all these ramps and all that vastness, and we had a little cot in the corner, which made it look even more vast and stupid and clinical. You had the sledgehammer moment. You had the David Tennant run around going wee, thinking it was exciting, like a playground. You had that ridiculous moment about 2 or 3 times when Shooty with his companion would go into one of the doors and come out having got changed, because it's dress up time, kids. It's cosplay. And that was it, basically. That was it.
I love this. The TARDIS interior was impractical. The Fifth Doctor and Perry would have died had the console been so far away from the main doors.
I tell you what, William Hartnell's Doctor would have been so buggered he'd have died at the door. He'd have said,
I'm not even bothering walking.
Yeah. Can everyone imagine the first Doctor? Garbage, you should do AI on this. The first Doctor, this old body's getting tired. I need to get back to the ship. And he sees the inside of the TARDIS going, you bugger. And he just stands at the door and keels over thinking, I haven't got an inhaler to get up that bloody ramp. I'll regenerate here. And Polly and Ben have to drag him up to the top. And then Patrick Troughton appears going, what the hell? I tell you what, would you find the flute in that new TARDIS? Like in the Three Doctors?
No.
You'd have to look everywhere. Wow. Find a flute in here.
Well, they're also finding other things we will not discuss.
The puppets find them. They found something that vibrates in that tatty lane. Jess Corbin, bring it on movie. Torrance, skipper of the San Diego-based high school's cheerleading squad, is shocked when she realizes the team's Oh, she writes her own stuff. I tell you what. I still want her on, Right. Shorter seasons were a big part of what hurt Doctor Who's Disney era. But shorter seasons was 2005, 2006, 2007. Davy's second spell in charge, and his first era in charge. And can we all remember season 7, which was split into 2 because Stephen Moffat was moonlighting on Sherlock? What's the argument there? That had nothing to do with Disney. One of the reasons for this is the need to fit what should be an epic, layered storyline into just 8 episodes at a time. No.
Not enough for story arc. You either go episodic or you do one like the Flux, one massive story.
I am. Look, I fell for it in 2005. I'm not falling for it now. Doctor Who does not need an epic storyline. You could argue on paper that Flux was an epic storyline. I wouldn't thank you for it.
And that still has left plot holes. I mean, is half the universe still missing?
Yeah, John Sweeney is keeping me right. Look, you can tell I never picked up an instrument in my life. I did pick up a guitar once when I was 7. I learned the chord A7, then I put it down again. I regret it, but yeah, recorder, flute, saxophone. I mean, it's my blind spot, John. But yeah, I should know. It's in the dialogue, it's in the script. But oops. Senior citizen. I think get that care home booked. One of the reasons for this is I need to fit what should be an epic, layered storyline into just 8 episodes at a time. Robots of Death is not an epic storyline. It's just a bloody good storyline. Genesis of the Daleks isn't epic. Dalek's master plan is epic. But you see, the arguments are which one is really, truly classic. I think people are so, and the source says this, Michelle, that so many people who are aware of Doctor Who in the media now and in the BBC think that when you say Doctor Who, you mean New Who. They do not refer to what is a real classic. They think everything has to be epic. They think no.
Well, that's recency bias, which is common in a lot of stuff. I mean, and we're getting people who are younger, who were born after 2000, who are coming into the workforce, who don't remember anything in the 20th century.
Yeah. Squinty Mint, if a shorter season was harmful, the seasons would finish with higher ratings at the end of the run than the start. I love your logic. This is what I mean. We have bright people who will call these nonsenses out. It shouldn't be epic, and it's shorter. And it was shorter before we got Disney as well. During Davies' initial period as showrunner, he had much longer to let a narrative gradually unfold, and also sufficient room to fit in the occasional standalone adventure. I think the unraveling of Doctor Who in the end has been this desperation to have all these seeds across a season. He's become a monster of it, hasn't he, Michelle? Because we had the Sue Tech, we had the Omega, we had the Mrs. Flood, we had the Susan. There were so many bloody things going on, and yet Shooty leaves and balls it the whole thing up, and so none of these join up satisfactorily.
Well, you have to know how is going to end. You can't have a grand epic arc and this go, okay, I'm gonna pants it. I'm gonna write by the seat of my pants and figure it out as I go. That's the first draft. That's not the grand finale.
Well, and you can't have the grand finale. Is everybody ready for this? People have been actually aching for this. They said you haven't done it for a few episodes, Brendan. The whole series ended up being lynched. It was lynching on. Where's my Poppy? Where's Poppy? I want my Poppy. Oh, I love Poppy. I'm going to change the world for Poppy. I mean, honestly, really? We had all these other characters, the Rani, the Bi-Generation, Mavity, everything. And it all came down to Poppy, I need to save Poppy. And do you know what, Michelle? I'm infertile.
Yeah, when we should have known about Poppy from the beginning. We should have known about her from Robot Revolution. We should have known that this little girl exists, that this is why she is so desperate Belinda is so desperate to get home.
Oh, look, they'll never have you on any BBC production team, because if you said that, they'd all go, oh, you've just called us out. Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of reasons why I want to appear on a BBC production.
But this is it. There were so many narrative arcs there that we've mentioned, from Sutek to Mrs. Flood and everything, and yet there's Michelle saying the Poppy one was just thrown at us last minute. Ridiculous. I know Tomboy Chick, you were dying to hear me say, Popper, I need the Hoopettes to do a Popper. Right, David Harding. Any future producer or showrunner for Doctor Who would be wise to look at why the classic series worked so well for so long and incorporate those things into a new show. I raised that with the source, David Harding, and he said, they go, what? Doctor Who used to scare the kids? What? Remember, they don't watch it. They never did. They may know a little bit about David Tennant was popular. You know, they have an element of that.
Again, they were probably kids when it happened, you know.
Yeah, so, yeah. There's that useless dinosaur. No problem with the effect. I just asked the question, why?
Yeah, that's a lot of money. It's a very good set. It's a very good dinosaur, but it should have, I mean, the dinosaur in in Peter Capaldi's first episode, Deep Breath. Made more sense.
Yeah.
Was better used.
So this article, classic. I mean, I don't just use articles for the sake of it, but this one just made me laugh. Davies, Stephen Moffat, and Chris Chibnall all had more episodes to play with at once before the Disney deal, which seems bizarre given how much money was pumped into the show. Everything in the last couple of years has felt a little rushed. No shit, Sherlock. And the great one of... But yeah, no, but why did we need the war between the land and the sea? Why did they add a 5-episode spin-off when focus on the main series?
Especially when a spin-off says the show, in traditional belief in America, a spin-off meant your main show, your main franchise was safe and secure. And then you could spin off popular characters.
Yeah.
And this made absolutely no sense to have a spin-off. And the spin-off we all wanted was an 8th Doctor series.
And a spin-off that's not embarrassed by its mothership. So
and also is changing lore. We can't call them Sea Devils because apparently that is racist now.
Well, yeah, and I'm gonna
a fictional monster that doesn't exist.
I know what a sea devil is, and I've got to do that love letter soon. But we all know the sea devils. Yes, I know the history of the sea devils pretty well. That love letter will come eventually when I stop doing streams and do a recording. But you know that you can't have them all. But yes, you mentioned it. It's your fault. You mentioned the sea devils, and of course,
you're welcome.
Don't you see, Michelle, that what I've just shown you is very similar to this? There you go. So that's Garbage Who.
Mirror image. I couldn't tell the difference.
They'll need a bloody good explanation in this spin-off that's coming up. And yes, we will be reviewing
it's gonna be trash. I mean, and I remember one point we said, well, what if the spin-off is better than the original series? Oh.
Well, although I'm open to that possibility because Doctor Who was so bad. It is possible that if they...
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I mean, you know, I can't wait for the sexy time between
well, yeah. I mean, interspecies sex is...
Yeah, and then someone's going to get pregnant, but here's the child. It's got guilt.
Do you know what? Yeah, be careful of blowholes. Blowholes can drown a bloody dolphin, remember? There was a bloke... where I'm on the northeast coast, and there was a court case about 15 years ago, Michelle, where a man used to go in his, scuba gear, and he'd go out into the North Sea. Now it's never warm, into the North Sea, and he befriended a dolphin. He maybe thought it was a sea devil, and as he befriended the dolphin, he used to give it services, and he used to service the dolphin, and he was taken to court, and he I don't know if he was heavily fined or imprisoned for molesting a dolphin. I never thought that was a crime.
Yeah, I'm from San Diego, so I know what people used to do with the dolphins at the dolphin petting area. So they used to have the watching for the ones that got a little too handsy with the dolphins.
I mean, gosh, can you
Yeah,
imagine being in
yeah.
court? Can you imagine being in court saying, "Did you?"
Imagine jury duty is like, okay, we got this, blank case. Well, who's the victim? Flipper.
I know. Oh no. So let's be honest, folks. Why are we discussing this? Because we're gonna have to think it. Because you're gonna have a human being with a sea devil. I know I'm keeping with the original, and getting it on. Obviously, crap. David Harding is reminding us of all the great spin-offs, and sometimes the spin-off is better than the main show. Mary Tyler Moore, Rhoda. I mean, my preference. I remember we're all different ages. Out of all those you've listed there, David, I loved Rhoda. I loved her mum. Her mum was that great comedic actress with the red hair. Loved her. And her sister Brenda. Mary Tyler Moore, I remember, it was the first colour I saw at my grand's. That it was almost like that rainbow sequence of multicolours. And actually amazing. I mean, I was a little boy, but to see that woman in New York throw her hat in the air and seem very liberated. The
Milwaukee.
Bionic.
Milwaukee.
Oh, sorry. Bionic Woman followed from the $6 million Man, and actually, the Bionic Woman was better. So yes, Knots Landing, Dallas. We could go on. The Colbys dynasty. So yes, the argument is all over the place on this one. So yes, it seems very rushed is the argument. Well, yeah. Rushed and wasn't necessary. So you come to this whole argument about, well, why did the Disney hang around? The leaked bombshell news was that Disney didn't technically hang around for long. After the Church and Ruby Road Space Babies, they'd seen enough rushes and I thought, we're out of this. And also there was the whole hinterland of RTD wasn't listening, and Julie Gardner had to be some sort of in-between conduit. Boomer Doug is still up, so this must be... You may think this is entertainment, Boomer. It still baffles me RTD was given a guaranteed successful franchise with a built-in loyal audience and lots of money. He couldn't fail in a parallel universe. He flushed it all away because of ego. In the end, this is not us hating on him. This is not us being overly critical. When you think of all the reasons he's done what he's done, it has to come down to ego, Michelle, because
100%.
If you really do understand Doctor Who, I can't understand hardly any of his decisions.
It's like the hubris. This is like almost Shakespearean of how to take a popular franchise and then flush it down the toilet because of the ego of one man.
Yeah. And look, you can have an ego. It isn't actually illegal, unlike touching up a dolphin. But
Sometimes ego is a good thing. Ego can do a lot of good things sometimes. We need somebody to be a little bombastic in life. Ego is not bad, but when it's not used in a good way.
Yeah, and you can have an ego, but you have to realize you're also part of the human race, and other people will knock you down, and tall poppy syndrome and all the rest of it. But it just feels like RTD is surrounded by yes men and women. That's all. Farsight, what I want to know is why Barclay is so important if he's a nobody. I really hope he's not the Master or the Doctor. Farsight, stop triggering me. I've heard that rumour too, that if Russell Tovey ends up being the Master, I'd rather he was still a gold tooth, because at least then, knowing how our dentistry is in Britain at the moment, when you can't get a bloody book in, the Master would have stayed that way. David Harding's agreeing with me that the Bionic Woman was much better. I absolutely loved those episodes of the Bionic Woman. It was just on point. And of course, everybody in the playground, this is the point, Michelle. In my era, everybody was in the playground going... I mean, and we did the stupid sound effect. The teachers must have been in hysterics.
Well, because you got to do it with the sound effects. Otherwise, why are you're just moving very slowly?
Yeah, well, this is the point. You see loads of kids, primary schools, you see kids running fast. You see kids smashing their heads against a wall and falling over. Exuberance. No, in the 70s, we all ran slowly.
I'm a child of the 90s. I was never into Power Rangers, but I remember people on the playground going, I'm now a pterodactyl.
Yes, I remember the stories. I was just starting to go into teaching when, kids would go on garage roofs and jump off thinking they were a Power Ranger in spandex. No, you're not,
Yeah.
mate. You're in hospital.
Well, that's how we also got rid of the more denser kids. Let's just be honest. That was natural selection
Yes,
working.
it is. So, it's the way the world works.
I
Now,
blame a lot of things on taking lead out of paint. We needed to have lead in paint.
Now, there's been lots of arguments here. Collider says, for example, Doctor Who never belonged with Disney. I'm not going there. Well, I am with that picture that Childer. What the hell was that? But the argument being Disney's glossy budget was too high for a show like Doctor Who. Do you know what, Michelle? No, we're looking at it the wrong way around. Just think of the missed opportunity. Disney's budget, with a careful writer who doesn't want to just show off that they've got a checkbook, who just writes clever stories with subtlety and everything, and the money might then be able to go into a longer series. Honestly, if we hadn't had everybody, Omega, Sutek, two Ranis, that big LED screen in Boom, blah, 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 we could have had a longer series.
Or bring in somebody that's a quality writer that maybe the checkbook could cover their fee.
Yeah, so I'm not buying into this argument. I think Disney's is like the hitman, the decent excuse here. And I'm not a lover of Disney, but I think it is. Doctor Who, the argument was too weird for Disney Plus and its mold of storytelling.
That tells you a lot. That tells you a lot that they're like looking at this going, what the heck did we just spend $100 million on compared to some of their other stuff?
Well, remember, I mean, please, everybody, shall we be sympathetic to a Disney executive? What? Sorry, did I just say that? Just imagine being a Disney executive trying to make, pay for the bills. Right. And you see the first rushes of space babies about bogies and methane. That you see the church on Ruby Road with a gobbling king, and then there's a song and dance routine. That you see the bi-generation and your new actor for your era of Doctor Who is in his undies going, hi, babes. You must be going, what the bloody hell's this? Mm-hmm. And then Devil's Chord, you had the Beatles in it, but they weren't the Beatles. And you didn't use any Beatles music. You can see why Disney said, this is clueless.
Yeah. And then and everything was filmed back to back, so there was no chance for improvement.
Yeah. And the argument in Collider was Doctor Who's new arrangement means that Ncuti Gatwa can return. What? I mean, why do we want him back with his knees?
Yeah, remember his knees are too sore.
His knees are too sore, and his head's in the clouds, and he thinks he's going to be the new James Bond or something. He is one of those people who sees Doctor Who as a stepping stone. And then off he goes. There was no commitment. We know all the behind the scenes stories that it was an unhappy crew. Those two were not happy with each other. Poor Millie Gibson was carrying the show before he even joined. And then he joins and Mr. Diva starts.
Right. And she was the more interesting character out of all of this. I think she was if there's going to be any breakout star, it was Millie Gibson.
Yeah. And of course, can I just say to everybody, I remember trying to work out whether Destination Skaro, the Children in Need sketch, where we had the famous moment about Davros, whether that was because RTD was laying the ground to kind of purify Doctor Who for Disney. No, not a chance in hell. That was all RTD.
Yeah.
So, yeah, won't have that. Remember, he promised us a bigger, madder, darker, wilder show. It's off the air. It's been taken off.
And his future is unclear. And I don't care how much they're going to say, yeah, it's going to come back. Yeah, there's going to be a guaranteed third season. Until I see who is announced as the Doctor, that's just words on a page.
Yeah. It didn't look like Doctor Who. Oh, yeah, we've rehearsed those arguments, so I won't bother you. But, these were all the allegations about why Disney was unhappy. Disney delayed their season 3 commissioning after the Pooh season 1, and nothing improved in season 2. They give it a chance.
They did. But yeah, they're not going to announce another $100 million to something that is slop.
What I don't know and don't understand, and I've asked my source, Michelle, but I don't get it. You get the 100 million off Disney. Was there anything in the deal that they had to race? Because the reason why Disney became unhappy is because RTD did back-to-back seasons, and there was no capacity to actually get feedback.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, I think part of it was they knew that they were only going to have Shooty Gobble for a very short time. Because they almost had a rush. There was no reason to rush. It felt weird. It felt weird when they're having these Doctor Light episodes when they only had 8 episodes in the season. It's like you couldn't have waited and delayed a month or so of filming to get Shooty Gobble on set. It was weird.
Do you know what? I don't like to go political and I don't want to cause chaos, but my analogy is this. When Britain went through its moment with Brexit, when there's a rule, there's an Article 50 in the EU that basically once you press the button and say you're leaving, you've got 2 years to negotiate an exit deal, right? That's a rule. It was actually written by a British diplomat. So the mistake Britain made, you know, I'm not getting into the Brexit debate, but when they pressed the button and said we're leaving officially, the clock was ticking, as Barnier kept saying. And we hadn't even got our ducks in a row. We hadn't done anything. That was the big mistake. And my argument and comparison to Doctor Who is, as you were saying, Michelle, you get Ncuti Gatwa, but you start filming when he's not ready. In other words, that's as stupid as pressing Article 50 when you weren't ready. It was stupid to start filming Doctor Who with an actor who wasn't available.
Yeah, it made absolutely no sense. It's not like in the days of the original Doctor Who, where sometimes they would have a Doctor Light episode, and that was to give the main actor a day off because they were filming so many, almost 50 weeks out of the year or whatever. Insanity it was. So Doctor Light episode was to give the actor a day off. This made no sense when you only had 8 episodes.
Yeah. David Harding, I tell you what, Doctor Who fans are sharp. Where was the money? Where did it go? Yeah, exactly. And I have to say, it's a very valid question. And if I see the 5-part miniseries, The War Between the Land and the Sea, and it looks accomplished, I will be furious, because that's money that should have been on Doctor Who going to another pet project for Pete McTighe and RTD on the sly. Their copyright is much better when it's not Doctor Who. Whoa! Do you see what I mean? I tell you what, I wonder on the copyright front, you know, Michelle, because they're not called Sea Devils, but they're called something else, do they have ownership of it now like they would the Ood?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wonder what's going on here. And they tell us to shut up, and they tell us to stop asking the right questions.
That when people tell you to stop asking questions, that's when you start asking more questions. It's like, why are you telling me to shut up? Where is this money going to?
Yeah. Boomer Doug, who's still awake. The $6 million man slow motion was a perfect example of creativity solving a problem. Speeding the film up would have looked stupid. It would have looked like Benny Hill when he used to chase all the do. I have to say, somebody out there, garbage, needs to do an AI of the Bionic Man or the Bionic Woman done to the Benny Hill music, because it would have looked very different. It would not have looked any good at all, but it would have been funny. Okay, the other argument was, I think this is the big one. The source has told me so much about this one. Disney's concerns over tonal consistency and narrative quality. Look at those 3 examples. Even Disney executives are going, I thought this was sci-fi. I thought this was... I didn't know it was the Rainbow Alliance. Honestly. Yeah, I know. Shock horror.
And poor Rogue, he's like in hell, I guess, and he's just being left out to dry, and he's just stuck there for a guy he knew for like 5 minutes. And
can I just say then, I think my job in life is just to call out all the idiots. My mum always said, you're the boy in the Emperor's New Clothes. You ask the questions and the people don't. The truth is this, right? Whether you like Rogue as a character or not, the gay element, right. But here's my big question, because we had Robot Revolution about toxic masculinity. We had Conrad Clark, toxic masculinity and conspiracy theory. You know, RTD is very angry about people like that. Oh, that's the darkness in the world, and I wanted to write about it. Okay, I get you. Virtue signal, well done. Oh my God, give him a BAFTA. Right, okay, we get it, RTD. You're a wonderful writer. Right, that was your motivation. Toxic masculinity, the boyfriend, the ex, is forgotten and left in hell when he risked his life for you. Who's the toxic masculine there?
And
Is it the doctor?
the implication that if you're a gay man, you're going to hell.
Well, don't go there. I'm dying to get in. No, yeah, I know. But he deserted the boyfriend who risked his life for him.
Yeah, he was more heroic than the actual doctor who went and saved Millie, versus letting her be sucked down into this vortex. I mean, again, the doctor left his companions up to dry and left everybody else to save them.
And who's the toxic one when it comes to the robot revolution? When he cheered that poor lad to being turned into a sperm and an egg.
And then sucked up. Oh, goodbye him.
Yeah. Who's the toxic one? Who's the one? Because you know about microaggressions, Michelle. You know, everybody goes on about microaggressions. Everybody goes on, oh, your eyebrow moved. How very dare you? I had complaints about my eyebrows in teaching. Can you believe this?
Right.
Before we knew it was a word. So I teach, my face moves. Thank God I'm alive and animated. And apparently there's always a kid in the corner tells his mum, and she goes, apparently your eyebrows moved when you told off my kid. I'm going, oh, bloody hell, what do you want me to do? Staple them down. Bloody hell. And by the way, mother, you weren't even in the room, so back off. Or as Tom Baker used to say in Destiny of the Daleks, spack off. Remember that? Was that a mistake? Right. My other one, though, is when you saw that TARDIS scene in Lucky Day, who was the toxic one? The bad-tempered, vengeful doctor?
Yeah.
Or was it Conrad who kept his cool?
Yeah, and telling Conrad that he didn't deserve, the world didn't deserve someone like that, and he's going to die, and nobody would mourn him, when Conrad is an abused child from a neglectful family who is just trying to be loved.
Yeah. I can't pronounce this because I'm thick as. So Aurum et Ies. I know who you are. So glad to hear someone else say that the rogue character was the heroic character who stepped up and in doing so showed up the fake doctor. Who was the heroic doctor in that episode? It was Rogue.
And Rogue acted more doctorish too. He's mysterious.
Yeah, he did.
You know.
Except for the proposal nonsense, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but we know who put that in there. But before all that, he was more of the doctor than.
Yep, Farsight, quite right. I have the video, but not available. But you've all seen me do it. The torturing in the Interstellar Song Contest was. I have to say, there should have been questions high up in that silly department where they in the BBC where they all discuss editorial, this, that, and the other. That shouldn't have been put out. This is a family show, and the main lead was torturing a fella for 1 minute in total. That should have been cut.
Yeah.
Tom by Chick, I'm open. I don't need super chats. If everybody wants to buy me the and I'll turn up and go, welcome to the Sensory. And yes, and I won't be able to move my mouth or anything. I tell you what, my rivals might like that. So there's that one. Oh, God. Tonal inconsistency. Yeah. That hair looks mad. Who could take this seriously? It made the 1960s Batman, the comic strip version that we all love with the kapow and that.
Yeah.
It's of that level, isn't it?
But also the weird part about the Batman worked because everything was nutty. So everything was consistent. It was a nutty little world.
Yeah.
And everything, and this just didn't. I remember when like they're getting sucked into the instrument, sitting there going, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people have said they're tuned out with the torture scene, and quite right. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you'll have thought this is not Doctor Who. RTD and BBC accused of creative overstretch and deaf to audience feedback. Yeah, isn't that arrogant? Isn't that up yourself that you won't listen to criticism? Because you can have constructive criticism. Nobody wants Doctor Who to die.
No.
People have invested money. And remember my argument at the beginning, Michelle. I find if me and you had an idea for a script, everybody will say no to us, and in the end we might go cadging around trying to see if people can fund us and sponsor us, and we'll be a little independent film company, and we'll take a risk with our life savings on our idea. That's proper TV.
Right.
You know for a fact RTD sits on other people's, he squats on other people's checkbooks and actually splunders their money. There's no personal risk for him.
Well, I love the fact that he put out R.I.P. Doctor Who in an episode. It was just like it was so. I know he meant that to be a slam back, but in his arrogance, it was actually an accurate statement.
Yeah. Oh, look, Peter, I know you're saying you're triggered, so I'm going to cheer you up.
Sit. Quickly, men, quickly. Excellent. Good thinking, good thinking. Babe, come in and meet the Daleks. I knew I should find them here. They look harmless, not very lively. Nothing you would know. But there are 3 Daleks in here. What's happened to the other one? Doctor! It was a sort of disembodied hand, a sort of claw. It was
Too right. And of course, Daryl, our friend, I know it's me who hasn't delivered because I can't keep up with my own schedule at the moment. But Daryl, yes, you are on my agenda. You're on everybody's agenda because I have to say, I still want the answer to that question. Why the hell haven't the BBC approached you? But if you get Doctor Who right, he says, you wouldn't be getting a lot of negative feedback or the need to course correct. Yeah, isn't it easy, Daryl? And you've proven that you can do it. I have to say, none of us need to falsely big you up because I have to say that Genesis of the Daleks is a masterpiece. Your version, your Sea Devils. You know I love Sea Devils and not Homer Aqua, but your Sea Devils are phenomenal. When you've got that scene of them coming out of the water and what they look like, absolutely outstanding. Jess Corbin here. Oh, bless you. For the Who Pets, who continues to make me howl. Yeah, we've got more stuff because that sequence where they're landing their TARDIS, they're going to go on adventures and they're going to land in lots of classic Who sets and come up against, the originals, you may say. So look out for that. Thank you very much. I'll have to say thank you properly, never mind just in words, otherwise it makes me a kind of virtue signaler. Very dangerous. Here we go. Hopefully this pleases you.
Oh, my dear Doctor, you have been naive.
You may disguise your features, but disguise your intent.
And you can't approve.
You know I can't.
Do you know who was naive? Disney.
You know what? I know that episode gets a lot of flack. I have a soft spot for it. That was even a better episode than anything we got out of Disney or RTD2.
It had a cliffhanger and it was timey-wimey. I hate that phrase. Yeah. Please, Stephen Moffat, get rid. But no, it 12:15, Magna Carta, Master wanted to dabble with it, a bit meddling monkish. Yeah, I'm up for that. Master in disguise. It's always a rubbish disguise, and that rubbish French accent.
Yeah.
It was like, hello. So yes, yeah, I get it. But Disney and Doctor Who audience did not align. That's what Disney concluded. Disney felt Doctor Who was too niche and isolating from modern audiences. Too right. Doctor Who fans meeting the Doctor in looks. I mean, what the hell are you doing with this? Please, do you know what, Michelle? We've taken this for granted. Mm-hmm. What is the explanation for that?
It's always been in our lives. So sometimes I think we do take things for granted.
But But what made RTD make Doctor Who actually meet fans? That was, I still, do you know what? I'm going to have to do a stream about that because, to be honest, that was
That
really.
has my thinking cap on, and also how much of the RTD1 was successful because he had good writers around him, and he didn't really write as much as he's doing in the newer iteration. And he had people like Moffat and others around him. Because when you really look back and you see some of the hallmarks of RTD2 and RTD1, and then also you realize is where he also has somebody that tempered some of his worst elements.
So yeah, and Raymond Williams, you're quite right. You've got your finger on the pulse on the ratings, and the ratings do count. But when you go into detail, this is what Disney was saying. Sustained audience engagement proved elusive. In other words, as I was showing with the 5-minute breakdowns, people were checking out.
Oh yeah,
Sharp drop off in 12 to 17's viewing. Well, you would have thought they're the ones you want to win for Doctor Who. Minimal long-term retention or rewatches from audiences. In other words, you watch it once and go, that's not event TV, never again. Disney's core strategic target, the Millennials and Generation Z, were disengaged midway through the season. It never entered the Nielsen top 10. Teen and millennial audiences found the tone isolating and the content and pitch too young. And Michelle, the worst thing you can do to children and teenagers is patronize them.
Yes, exactly. And millennials and Gen Z right now are very savvy. I think they're smarter and more aware of things at a younger age, and they are kind of like you were as a child. They are seeing the Emperor Has No Clothes, and they're seeing that there's a distrust for a lot of the establishments on both sides of the continent, of the world, the oceans, that this is a savvy group of young people.
Yeah. And ultimately what killed it and meant that Disney went away and actually, although I've said this before, I'm going to say it in a different way as well to be relevant to what we were talking about today. Disney recommended BBC and Doctor Who and RTD do a strategic realignment of Doctor Who. And what we've got now is RTD still hanging around, Bad Wolf is still hanging around, and we're just going to continue the same old mess.
They need to go to make any improvements in the patient's life. They need to go. It's like you got to cut that tumor out.
Exactly. So that's why the Disney exit means a golden future for Doctor Who says winter is coming. I say no, because the people who thought, no, we won't make a strategic realignment, no, we won't listen to a global streamer with, Disney aren't stupid. They made some mistakes here, but they're not stupid, but you ignored them. And so those people are now back in charge of Doctor Who. Oh, yeah. So go figure. Where's the golden future? I don't see it, Michelle, at all.
No, it either needs to go on a hiatus, it needs to be rebooted, which both have issues, but definitely it needs a new showrunner.
Yeah.
And new writers.
And maybe not a showrunner, maybe a proper team,
Yes, or a showrunner in the J&T model who didn't write. He ran the background of the show, he got the actors, he got the scripts, or approved of the scripts, and did the money. We need somebody who is a proper writer who can sit down and write proper. And I'm sure somewhere out there unknown is a excellent writer that's just chopping on the bit to get up on here.
Yeah, Squinty Mint, I'd love to know what the commission brief is for the Christmas special. Any requirements at all? No, there won't be. I know enough about this. I do. No. To make a pitch to the BBC, you have to be on a prescribed list. In other words, they've already got rid of any trouble to them. It's a bit like publishing houses, the same, and this with what you do with your books, that there's so many issues here. David Harding, won't all the other potential streaming services that the BBC could partner be aware of what went wrong with the Disney deal? As the source said, yes. And nobody will allow it to happen to them, which is making the negotiations harder. Not impossible, but harder. And actually, the issue about the back catalogue, which has been mentioned, and I've mentioned a lot as well, and the source mentions it might be worth about 400 million. The problem is in a way, the BBC are keeping in-house for once, and they're putting now and again Doctor Who content on their YouTube channel. And actually, that's the way to go because they keep ownership of it.
Yeah.
If they're doing stuff like that, they won't want to be selling it as a back catalogue. And most of the global streamers, as you know, want content. So it's a bit of an impasse, Michelle.
Also, the back catalog, they're going to want the classics too, because that is the only Doctor Who media that is selling, is the collections, from my understanding. And so they are going to want to have all of the back catalog. And so that is also copyright issues, other issues of who owns even, the Unearthly Child, who owns that copyright. And that is going to be a sticking point in the catalog.
Well, that was our news today. Michelle's back. She'll be back again, I hope.
I will.
Yeah. Now, Michelle does other things. Now, Michelle, go on then. Not often people say, "Oh, give us a shout out what other streams you're on," but in your case, you actually publish stuff. Go on, tell us about that.
I am the author of Haunted Fredericksburg and The Ghostly Tales of Fredericksburg, which are available on Amazon in the United States and in the UK. So check those out. And I'll be a big announcement outside of my friends and family. I am working on a novel that will be coming out sometime in 2026. So
there you go.
Yep.
There you go. And if you lot, I'll stop. If I was allowed not to do some YouTube, I might actually write my own blooming novel. I've got some ideas, but yeah, I'm enjoying doing this. So thank you, Michelle. Thanks for being back. It's so many great panelists, but you are one of the originals, of course.
Yeah.
So,
love you all.
Good to see you all again. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, or your American morning, or your whatever midnight in Australia. See you again, everybody. Don't know when. RTD, one sense sphere shut down. Those Hoopettes have had the last hand up them. Time to die. Which is giving me the creeps. This never happened on finger bombs. One by one, they're all mine. They don't like it up 'em. All this walking, I wish I had my Benidorm motor scooter. I have it!
Ruh.